Human Reproduction Part 4. In this video, you will be learning about fertilization and post-fertilization changes that happens resulting in pregnancy and parturition. During sexual intercourse or coitus, semen containing millions of sperms is deposited in the vagina by a process called insemination. The sperms move actively in female genital tract by swimming. They pass through the cervix, enter into the uterus, and finally reach the junction of the isthmus and ampulla, that is, ampullary isthmic junction of the fallopian tube. The ovum released by the ovary is also transported to the ampullary isthmic junction where fertilization takes place. Fertilization can occur if the ovum and sperms are transported simultaneously to the ampullary isthmic junction. The process of fusion of sperm with an ovum is called fertilization. Usually one single sperm penetrates into ovum. The area of the ovum which extrudes the polar bodies and receives the sperm is called the animal pole. Capacitation represents a change in the sperm to make them capable of fertilizing the ovum. Mammalian sperm produces an enzyme hyaluronidase to disperse the cells of corona radiata. The sperm lysins help the sperm enter into the cytoplasm of the ovum through the zona pellucida and the plasma membrane. This induces the completion of the meiotic division of the secondary oocyte. The second meiotic division is also unequal and it results in the formation of second polar body and a haploid ovum, that is the ootid. Soon the haploid nucleus of the sperm and that of the ovum fuse together to form a diploid zygote with 46 chromosomes. The sex of the boy has been decided during the process of fertilization. The ovum produced by the female has the sex chromosome X, whereas the sperms carries the sex chromosomes with either X or Y. Hence, 50% of the sperms carry the X chromosome, while the other 50% carry the Y. After fusion of the male and female gametes, the zygote would carry either XX or XY, depending on whether the sperm carrying X or Y fertilize the ovum. The zygote carrying XX would develop into a female baby and XY would form a male. So, the sex of the baby is determined by the father and not by the mother. The cleavage division starts as the fertilized ovum moves through the isthmus. The cleavage in the mammalian zygote is simple holoblastic and the resultant cells of the cleavage are called blastomeres. After several cleavage divisions, the small blastomeres assume the shape of a compact ball of cells called morula. Due to rearrangement of blastomeres, a central cavity is formed inside the morula, transforming into blastocyst as it moves further into the uterus. The outer layer of the cells which draw nutrition for the implanted embryo from the mother is called the trophoblast. The inner group of cells attached to the trophoblast are called the inner cell mass, which develops into the embryo proper. The trophoblast layer then gets attached to the endometrium and this process is called implantation, leading to pregnancy. Immediately after implantation, the inner cell mass, that is the embryo, differentiates into an outer layer called ectoderm and an inner layer called the endoderm. A mesoderm soon appears between the ectoderm and endoderm, and these three layers will give rise to all tissues or the organs in the adults. The inner cell mass contains certain cells called stem cells which have the potency to give rise to all tissues and organs. Occasionally, implantation occurs in the fallopian tube, resulting in an ectopic pregnancy, which is dangerous to mother because of the hemorrhage. Now, after implantation, finger-like projections will appear on the trophoblast called chorionic villi, which are surrounded by the uterine tissue and maternal blood. The chorionic villi and the uterine tissues become interdigitated with each other and jointly form a structural and functional unit between the developing embryo and the maternal body, and it is called as the placenta. Now let us look into pregnancy and embryonic development. The development of human being can be divided into prenatal, that is before birth, and postnatal after birth periods. During the prenatal period, the blastocyst develops and implants in the endometrium. The first 2 months, that is 8 weeks development, is considered the embryonic development. From 9 weeks until birth, it is called fetus. During or after birth, it is called a newborn or a neonate or a baby. Pregnancy is arbitrarily divided into 3 months period called the trimesters, and there are three trimesters. In the first trimester, that is the first 3 months, begins at fertilization, and during this period most of the internal organs are formed. After 1 month of pregnancy, the embryo's heart is formed. The first sign of growing fetus may be noticed by listening to the heart sound carefully through the stethoscope. By the end of the second month of pregnancy, fetus develops limbs and digits. By the end of 12 weeks, most of the major organ systems are formed. For example, the limbs and the external genital organs are well developed. The next 2 trimesters are mainly periods of growth for the fetus. The second trimester, the first movements of the fetus and appearance of hair on the head are usually observed during the fifth month. By the end of 24 weeks, that is second trimester, the body is covered with fine hair, the upper and lower eyelids separate, and eyelashes are formed. During the seventh month, the eyes open and bones begin to ossify. The third trimester extends from the seventh month till birth. The fetus has developed sufficiently with respect to the circulatory and respiratory systems to potentially survive if born prematurely. During the last month, fetal weight doubles. By the end of 9 months of pregnancy, the fetus is fully developed and it is ready for delivery. Maturation. About after 266 days after fertilization or 280 days from the beginning of the last menstrual period, the human infant is born. Vigorous contractions of the uterus at the end of pregnancy are needed to expel the fetus in the sequence of events called labor. And this process of delivery of the fetus is called parturition. Parturition is induced by a complex neuroendocrine mechanism. The signals for parturition originate from the fully developed fetus and the placenta, which induce mild uterine contractions called fetal ejection reflex. When it is time for the baby to be born, pituitary gland secretes adenocorticotropic hormone, which stimulates the adrenal glands to secrete steroids. These steroids stimulate placenta to produce prostaglandin that, along with the hormone oxytocin from pituitary, cause uterus to begin powerful muscular contractions. The stimulatory reflex between the uterine contraction and oxytocin secretion continues, resulting in stronger and stronger contractions over a period that usually lasts from 2 to 18 hours. During that time, the cervix becomes fully dilated and the amniotic sac ruptures and the baby is expelled out of the uterus through birth canal. This is known as parturition. Soon after the infant is delivered, the placenta, commonly called the afterbirth, is also expelled out of the uterus. Labor can be induced artificially by injections of oxytocin or by insertion of prostaglandin into the vagina. If a woman cannot go through the labor pain or if she has complications during childbirth, she can go for a surgical procedure of childbirth, and it is called as the cesarean. Lactation is the production and release of the milk. It is stimulated after parturition by prolactin, a hormone of the anterior pituitary. High levels of estrogen act directly on mammary glands to block the stimulation by prolactin. If a woman does not wish to breastfeed her baby, she may take oral estrogens to inhibit prolactin secretion. Initially, for first 2 or 3 days, the mother produces a thick yellowish high protein fluid called colostrum. Colostrum contains an abundance of maternal antibodies and thus helps to strengthen the baby's immune system. Colostrum also acts as a laxative, removing fetal waste called meconium retained in the intestine. The newborn's suckling stimulates the pituitary to release oxytocin as well as prolactin. Oxytocin triggers milk release from the mammary glands, and breastfeeding during the initial period of the infant growth is recommended by doctors for bringing up a healthy baby.